Hey guys, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year Mature Learning Podcast, and today we are on Reflection 362. Let's talk about the lion and the raccoon. Should be
Yes.
interesting.
This is going to be a fun one. I hope it's fun for you, but I know for me, this is going to be a really, really fun one to share. So the book that we're doing today is called Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. Apparently, this guy's a pretty famous author. I don't know about different mythologies and stuff that he explores. I guess
Norse mythology. Yeah.
right, exactly. I don't actually know what his. I'm actually kind of curious. Is it GAI? What? Why is this going so slow? There it is. Wow, this dude looks like a total dweeb. I'm just kidding. Wow, nerd alert, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Neil Gaiman is an English author of short fiction, novels, comic books, graphic novels, audio, theater, blah, blah, blah. He looks like he does a lot of. Oh, he wrote Hugo. Bram Stoker Awards. Wait, is that Hugo, the movie Hugo? Oh, the Hugo Award.
Don't know what it is.
Career. It's a comic book writer, Mark Buckingham, the Sandman. I don't know any of this stuff, but I guess this guy's pretty famous. I don't know. He's clearly into Norse mythology a lot. He wrote a book about Norse mythology. This book was taking a look at Norse mythology from kind of like a story arc of from the original, what is it, Nine Kingdom, Nine Worlds. Have you ever seen the movie Thor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, how in Thor they have like, what is it? It's Asgard. Yeah.
Asgard.
And then they have like the Nine Kingdoms and they have Ragnarok, the Twilight of the Gods. Basically, it's like their afterlife or whatever. So like this book explores Norse mythology with a kind of a story arc from the beginning, and then it really focuses in on Odin and Thor and Loki and a lot of their different stories of how they interacted with the frost giants and whatever. It was interesting, right? Like it was an interesting story just to kind of see this guy who clearly loves the stuff, and he weaved an interesting story arc around all this. But that is not what I got out of this, right? So here's the reflection title is The Lion and the Raccoon. So here's what happens, right? So I'm listening to this book. I'm enjoying it. I'm like, this is really interesting. And every story, I had this grand epiphany, right? Like every story, there was one guy that was always messing shit up, right? We all know Loki, right? We all know Loki is the mischievous troublemaker, always strategizing and plotting and trying to do, you know, he just fucks shit up, right? I mean, really, he just fucks shit up, right? I mean, like but then he puts things back together. But he, like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Loki in general? Do you have any strong opinions on Loki or not? I'm just kind of curious.
I think Loki is a fun kind of guy. He's just trying to have fun. He doesn't care about anybody else, but he's just trying to have fun. He doesn't do it on purpose. He doesn't hate people on
What?
purpose. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't hate people on purpose. I think
He's
it's on
out
purpose.
here. I'm out here to get revenge on Thor or blah blah blah. No, he's just being mischievous, and Thor happens to be in his way.
Exactly.
I mean, he's not targeting anyone. So to me, as far as Loki is concerned, he's a fun kind of guy. He does his own thing, and he's like, okay,
right.
Yeah, I'm not a hero, and I don't want to be a hero. I mean, I can't relate to that. I don't want to be a hero to anyone. I don't want to be a lead to anyone. I actually want to do my own shit, right? If you happen to be in my way, yeah, you might get. Well, it is what it is. But you're in my way. What can I say?
So I totally agree with you, right? As I'm listening to all these Norse mythology stories, and Loki keeps doing his Loki thing, and
we have the criticism, we have the truism, we have the Lokiism.
Exactly. I think you know where I'm probably going with this, high level. But so I'm listening to these stories, and every single time, I think the way that these stories are crafted, you're like not supposed to root for Loki. Like it might be fun and entertaining. He might add some entertainment value, but you're not supposed to like root for Loki. You're supposed to root for Thor. You're supposed to root for Odin. You're supposed to root for the adult in the room. You're supposed to root for the guy that's the hero, right? Not the anti-hero, which is Loki, right? He's not a bad guy, like you said, but he's not.
It has an agenda. I mean, so every person, like from Thor perspective, he has his own beaver mustache, and Loki has his own beaver mustache. But people trying to persuade you to look at from one perspective versus another. But if you understand who you are, then you can say, hey, yeah, I can see where Loki comes from. I can see where Thor comes from. It is what he does. And it is what Loki does. No one is out there to get you. They're just trying their best, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're spot on, right? So this is the epiphany that I had. So I'm listening to this book, and as you know, I've talked to you many times. Like I have this really strong affinity for lions, right? You see back here, the books, the covers on the wall, the I Can't Imagine book, Your Magical Learning book cover that will be someday when we make this into like an actual book. Then you got a lion on the wall over there in the corner. You got my daughter, we had my daughter is a lion at code word, and the NICU is lion. Our mural that we did in her room is of a family of lions. We have her stuffed animals right across from her NICU bed was a lion. I mean, this is always my favorite movie growing up was Lion King. I mean, then you got all the Africa stuff that we've done on this journey. We have, every goddamn time I go to the zoo, like, I mean, I'm just like, it's like a bug to a, to a,
To honey,
to a bug zapper or whatever, where I'm just like, I gotta go to the lion. I don't know why. Just stare at the lion, And so I've always said that my spirit animal is a lion, right? I mean, I've told you this a long time ago, and I've told you, but I don't just have one spirit animal. I was like, well, my spirit animal is like a lion, and I also have another spirit animal that we'll get to in a second. So I've always said I've had two spirit animals, right? So I'm listening to this book, and this is what I believed in my own head. Like I mean, this is a part of me. I believe I'm, part lion, part the other spirit animal that we'll get to in a second, right? And as I'm listening to this book, like I don't know why I had this like massive epiphany. I was like, I'm not a fucking lion. Like I don't know why I could never admit this. Don't get me wrong, I still love the shit out of lions. I mean, Amelia is a lion. My wife is kind of a lion, to be honest with you. I think it's the appeal of the lion mystique and their activities is so enamoring for me because it's so not me, right? I'm not super strong and courageous. I'm not somebody you're intimidated by my presence. I'm not somebody that is the dominant leader of a pack or something along those lines, right? Like that's not who I am, and that's not who I'm ever going to be. I'm not a lion, right? But I love lions and I'm connected to lions and I'm very much so enamored by them. But that's not me, right? And here's how I came to this epiphany. I'm reading this book and I'm like, I'm not supposed to like Loki, but I kind of like Loki. This is the star of the show, guys. Like this is the only reason why I enjoy Norse mythology is Loki is what makes it fun for me. Loki is me in a lot of ways. Loki is very mischievous. He's very creative. He's a thinker. He's a tinker. He's a strategist. He loves to play games. He's playful. He's fun. He doesn't really take anything seriously. That's how I've always been, and that's how I always will be. That is also my other spirit animal that we haven't talked about. It's a raccoon. People always would joke whenever I would tell somebody I have two spirit animals. One's a lion, and they would be like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Lions are great." Like you talk about Thor, right? Everybody sees Thor. It's like your older brother or your older
you
sibling.
get validations
like,
by people.
Yeah, they're like Thor's great. Yeah, he's a leader. He's a hero. He does things.
Loki, yeah.
And they're like, no. I kind of like Loki, and they're like, Loki? Like you can't like Loki. And I'm like, and I'd say like my other spirit animal is a raccoon, and they're like, you can't be fucking serious. A raccoon. I discovered while reading this book, I don't have two spirit animals. I have one spirit animal. That one spirit animal is.
I don't think anyone has two.
Right. I like lions, and it's like being married to the exact opposite of you, right? You look for qualities in other people that they're spiky in, and you're spiky in other areas, right? Like it makes it you desire what you don't understand, right? Like I don't understand lions, but for some weird reason I'm drawn to them because I don't understand them, right? But I understand.
Well, I don't think that's true. I disagree with that. You like lion because there's some commonalities with lion. You have something that's common with lion, but you're not a lion per se. You have qualities of a lion. I mean, you look at maybe like some kind of like we're talking about honey badger, for example. Right. He does his own shit, but don't mess with him. Okay. Right, so a raccoon could be the same thing. Hey, he has some quality of a lion, and that gets you there. But you say, hey, I want the opposite. Let's say, I live on air. I want to go to the water, or I was born in the tropic and it's all hot, and I want to go into the freezing cold. Right. It doesn't work that way, right? There's certain things that if you have to have commonality to connect, that it may connect. It may have some differences, and some other differences may cause you to say, well, I'm not that, but it's because of the opposite. You make assumptions. But I think from most of what I know, there are only a few things that I like. There are a million things that I don't like. Right. So if you say go the opposite, well, there are a million things I could be attracted to, but I'm not.
That's true. That's a really good point, because you're right. Like your myelin built up around your talents, right? And just because you don't have a talent in an area,
so there is a connection
you don't have. There's very few talents you have, and that's good. You should figure out what those talents are. But there's a lot of not talents you have. Like there's way more not talents than you have that are talents. Right?
Right.
I mean, you would agree. Well, anyway, so that's what I discovered in this. So that's the lesson: is the lion and the raccoon. I'm openly admitting this now. I am just a raccoon, a playful, mischievous troublemaker that also is loving, caring. Also, at the same time, I like to have a lot of fun, and I don't take things too seriously. And don't fuck with me. If you piss me off, don't fuck with me either, because I'm not like going to be pushed over or anything like that. Like, I mean, I like my space. I like my own thing, but also at the same time, I'm curious. I like to go explore shit. Like, I like to see what the fuck happens. Like, like, we'll see, right? So that's me in a nutshell. I'll leave the lioning to my daughter and just go follow her. That's why
Yeah.
the learning book cover is a little raccoon with binoculars trying to search for the lion out there in the wilderness. And I mean that's where that came from, right? So that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's great that you found and finally understand yourself enough to say, hey, I'm not a lion. Because I think this is what the, I guess the problem is in society. It's we're being conditioned to like something. We're being
Yep.
conditioned.
To
There
want to
are,
be something else. Yeah.
well, there's always like some kind of a directive in a movie or in a book or in anything. They say, hey,
Right.
you should be this
Thor.
this
You should be
guy,
Thor's the
right?
hero.
You should be this, upstanding leader, blah blah. Like I say, the thing that gets me is people say, hey, you have to be like the prince and the princesses. Like, well, if everybody's a prince, well, who's gonna be the slave? I don't want to be
Right.
the slave. I don't want to be the tree.
Right.
And so that's the
Or
thing.
the court jester who's going to entertain people, who's going
And
to do stupid shit.
yeah, who's gonna clean the courtyard?
Right.
And so that's the thing is people have been always been given some sort of agenda that is really not probabilistic,
Right.
and that will lead them astray because for growing up you're told to be this person, right? And there are like I would say a handful of people you can be encounter. Hey, you should be, a business person, a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, but never,
Right.
oh, you should be, Michael Jordan or blah. No one tells you how to do that. Only the black sheep of their community, their family becomes the Tiger Wood or the Michael Jordan or the whatever, because the Zuckerberg, right? They don't belong they to the norm. They
Right.
break out from the norm. You gotta
Mhm.
break out from the norm and be yourself.
If there are normal people, right? Like, I mean, like, I don't want to like this isn't about like an Apple situation or something like that where it's like here's to the crazy ones. If you're not trying to put a dent in the universe, you suck or something. No, like what you're trying to say is the exact right answer to all this is you have to be yourself and you have to understand yourself.
If
You
you're
may be
Thor, then
outside
be
of the
Thor,
norm.
right? If you're a
Yes,
lion, then be
exactly.
a
Right.
lion. No one
Right.
say
Right.
you because the thing is for me is I don't want to be Thor because I detested the image of me having responsibility
Right.
of
I
the
agree.
people's lives. This is why I don't want to be a leader because the thing is I don't think I can do the people I lead justice. So I say, well, I'm not that kind of person.
Right.
So don't really rely on me. I don't want to feel bad for putting you in a hard situation. For me, is I'm not a lion, I'm not a dragon, I'm not anything majestic, anything that people say, oh, I'm more like a goat, a mountain goat. I eat whatever I want, I do whatever I want, I shit whenever I want, and I just do whatever. I mean, I'm
That's
more
I,
later about. I think I can live even like if I were to say, hey, let me follow a goat for the rest of my life, I'm probably happy, right? Because a goat, he just by himself, he does whatever, he do stupid shit. He eats
right.
stupid shit too. I mean, he's like doing things that normally you don't see other animals do.
Right. Yeah.
But
Right. No, I agree.
I'm more of a goat. You're more of a raccoon
Right.
than anyone else because that image brings me peace,
It does.
right? But yours have the
Same here.
characteristic of Thor is you need to have somebody to lead, to take
You
care
do.
of, to defend, blah blah. I
Yep.
don't want any of that responsibility.
Yeah.
When you're Thor, you can't be me, you can't be Loki, you can't be the raccoon because those things just irks
You
you.
can't do it.
So
Follow
that's
the rules.
my
You got to
point
protect
is
people.
you have to let you be you, right? Let
Right.
FN be FN and be who you have to be, not who you want to be, who you were told that you need to
Exactly.
be. But societies always have some kind of narrative that tells you, hey, you behave this way. Don't behave like Loki. Behave like Thor. Behave like Superman and not Lex
Yep.
Luthor. Behave
Yep.
like whatever movie. They always twist the story so that they kind of like push a certain narrative.
No, it's a nudge. They're nudging you toward what they say. What other people say is societally acceptable. I've told you the story before. When I was in grade school, I would get in trouble all the time. In high school, I got in trouble all the time. True. I mean, like, and I know you said you do that too. Like, I mean, I swear to you, this about sums up my life in a nutshell. I went to a private Catholic grade school and I went to a private Catholic high school. The class sizes were like 25 kids in each class. It wasn't a big school, right? Like we weren't huge classes. It was K through 8 in the school that I went to. You know, everybody knew everybody, right? We all were really tight knit, you know, blah 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 blah, right? So the principal, I'm in like 6th grade. I've been going there since I was in kindergarten. I'm in 6th grade, and I remember my mom gets called into the principal's office one day, and I'm like sitting outside the principal's office, and I can hear him talking, and you know, and she's like saying, you know, Chris keeps getting in trouble doing, you know, blah blah blah, whatever I got in trouble for that day. You know, I did just stupid shit all the fucking time, like all the fucking time. And she was like, I remember my mom recapping the conversation because I was asking my mom afterwards. I was like, well, what'd she say? Well, how'd it go? What did I do? And my mom was like laughing. She goes, well, her name was Joanne Couchy. Mrs. Couchy was our principal. And she goes, Anita, my mom's name is Anita. She goes, Anita, I just don't know what to say. I don't know what to do with Chris sometimes. She was like, he's just such a good student. Like he really does a good, I mean, he's so smart and intelligent. He always gets his work done. He gets really good grades. But then he just distracts the whole entire class and starts doing stuff that, you know, that he cannot be doing. You know, she was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like explaining this to my mom. And my mom's like, I don't know what my mom thought. My mom obviously lived with me. She already knew this shit. She already knew that this is what I was doing at home all the time. And I don't think there's anything that could sum up my life more than those words from this teacher where she's like, I've always given people what they wanted when they wanted it. And then I'm like, I'm going to go fucking do stuff. Like, I'm going to go just be creative. I just like to fucking play around. I like to joke around. I like to not be serious. I like to push the borders and push the boundaries and see what I can get away with and see what I can't get away with and to see things from different angles and to try new stuff. Like, this is just who I am, right? And I've never been a lion. You know what lions do all day long? Do you know what lions do? All day. And then they get up at night when it's a little cooler out and they go on a casual hunt to get some food or whatever. If they don't find anything, they're like, yeah, it's fine. We're going to go back.
I'm more like a lion than you are. But I'm still far from being a lion.
Right. Well, I mean, dude, you've known me now long enough. Like, I am hyper fucking active. Like, I mean,
You're
I am
not a lion.
I am
By
not
that
a lion.
definition, you're not a lion. I have more commonality with lion than you are. Right?
Probably.
I sleep
Yeah.
during the
like,
day. I don't do shit. And at night, I get up and actually go find something to eat.
Yeah, exactly. That's way more.
But even then, I can't even classify myself as a lion because I don't want the responsibility of having to be this lion, this, you know, this role of whatever that people expect me to be. It's like, no, just leave me alone. I don't need to be in the pack, right? That's what the thing is. I can't be in the line because I'm not a pack kind of person.
Yeah,
I'm not a lone wolf, right? Because
right.
I don't have the prowler or the whatever. I'm that goat, right? Alone.
Right. Yeah. But they have their people though too. Like they, you know, they're like
sort of, but you know, whenever you want to. Like
right.
they go together for a little bit and then they go on its own.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
I mean, that's me. Like I go and talk to you for an hour, the rest of the day, say, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me do my own shit. I go,
Agreed.
yeah. You can get into trouble. I mean, that's what goat does.
I mean, dude, that's such a good analogy because, like, on the flip side of this, how many times do I hop onto these calls? The first thing I say is like, "You'll never fucking believe what happened today." There's always some craziness, you know.
There's always something.
Like, I mean, and it's not like I try to do this stuff; it just happens. This is how my universe operates. I want to go find the chaos because it entertains me.
But you also you attract the chaos because of the frequency you exert, right? It's going to attract the chaos to you. So whatever you do, you're gonna have that sense of a lifestyle, and then if you trying to buck that trend, it's gonna be miserable.
True. I mean, I
it
like
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. People like actions and like really like eventful things. I'm on the other hand don't like eventful things. I just want things to be like, hey, for the whole day, don't do anything. I do for an hour, and then the next day.
To be fair, I like that. I like my anchoring.
But that's not the majority. That's why
I need the anchoring so I can go endure so I can go through the chaos and then not have the chaos affect like my whole being and entity, right? You know, of where I want to go.
But there's always a ratio, you know, like you say, hey, for you have to be out there and talking to people for like 80%. I'm on the opposite. I have to be quiet 70-80%, right? There's 10 to 20% that I may want to talk to you. I may say, okay, yeah, I'll answer your question.
I think you're spot on. I don't want quiet. I only want quiet maybe the last hour of the day as I'm having a glass of wine, watching the news or something, and falling asleep. I mean, I just collapse. This is how I sleep every night, just so we're aware. It's like this call ends. It's like go, 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 crash. Go, 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 crash. Like this is how I operate. I
So
wake
I'm
up.
the opposite. I
go, go, go,
like
go, go,
kind of
crash.
like do slowly, and then I do something.
We could not be more opposite, but I'm not a mountain goat. That's really funny to me to hear that. You're right. I'm not. I don't have mountain goat mentality, and that's fine. Be who you want to be. Be who you are.
Who
Be
you
who
got
you
to
are.
be.
Right. Yeah.
Meaning
right.
like whatever genes that you're given, you have
Right.
to obey and adhere to that set of genes. You cannot decide to be something else. A goat can't decide to be a lion, right? A duck can't go to eagle school and become an eagle. I mean, even in the duck scenario, I mean, a lot of commonalities there, right? But
they're
you're
not the
still a
same.
duck. You're not
Right.
you're not an eagle. So that's what I'm saying is for a goat and a lion, it's completely opposite. So it's clearly defined that I'm not a lion, right? You look at Elon Musk and whatever, saying, oh yeah, it's great to have Elon Musk money, but I don't want his job.
I don't want anything. I don't think there's anybody's life that I've ever read about that I would want less than Elon Musk. I mean, like in all seriousness, I mean, it is horrible. Like
I mean, it's horrible to you, right?
horrible to
It may
me.
not be
Right. I mean,
not
I mean,
horrible to him or to anyone
right,
else.
correct.
That's the point I'm
Yes.
trying to make. Is everyone has your own journey, your own perspective, and you're gonna have to obey that. What happened is in society we are conditioned and being like really nudged a certain narrative, a certain behavior that everybody have to conform to. This is the conformity of society. This is why a lot of the great authors are like the Ozone guy. He said break out of the norm, right? Because that's the first thing you have to do is in order for you to become creative is you have to break out the norm to be creative. Because how can you be creative if you follow the norm and be contained inside of something that is not your natural environment? So the people who are luckily fit into that natural environment thrive because that's their environment.
You're a bee, like you're whatever, or you're an ant.
Exactly.
Like
if you're a bee,
and that's
you're an ant or
fine. Be an
whatever,
ant.
you
Like I mean, it's
thrive in
okay.
there. You thrive in community. You thrive in a socialism of
you need
your
order,
own peers.
stability. There's nothing wrong with that. Be an ant. Like it's
I can't do that. And it's like to me, it's not like there is a like for me in my family, my brothers and my sister. It's like I can't be more different than them. I can't be like them, and they can't be like me. It's not possible, even though we're brothers. We go insane.
She goes insane just talking to me sometimes where she's like, I can't do this, Chris. Chris, I can't. I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to talk about this anymore. She came home she's actually going through some health issues right now. For privacy's sake, I'm not going to share with what she's going through, but she's not been herself the past 6 months or so. She's been going through some not like I don't want to sound like it's life threatening or anything. Well, at least I don't think it is. It's not. Nothing that we know of is that it's life threatening. But she's going through a chronic condition right now that she's trying to figure out some stuff, and it's really affecting her a lot. Well, and a lot of it has to do with like dietary, and food, and gut stuff, right? So these are things that are really near and dear to my heart, and obviously just in general, just like my family, we're all celiacs, and anyway, like there's a lot of conversations going on about this stuff. Well, I'm trying to problem solve her problems, right, with her while she's home. And it got to the point in time where she was like, I can't fucking talk to you anymore. She was like, I've fucking tried everything. Shut the fuck up. You don't think that I've thought about I've read every goddamn book I can. She's like, this is my problem that I'm trying to solve. I can't listen to you anymore because I wouldn't stop harping on certain things where I'm like, no, you need, look. Anyway,
did you take my advice?
What?
Like, don't listen to anyone about some solution if they don't got it.
Oh yeah, well that's basically what my sister said. Was like
exactly. And so the
like,
advice is also the opposite. So don't try to. Man, we don't
get right.
Like,
I know, but it's your sister.
You do, but the devil doesn't know he's a devil.
Right. I agreed. I was being not helpful in that scenario.
By trying to be helpful, you're not helpful.
Exactly. I was kind of golden ruling her, to be honest with you, and not following our own lessons that we talk about. Anyway, long story short, what I'm getting at with that is my sister, like to your point, your siblings couldn't be more different than you, and you couldn't be more different than them. I couldn't be more different than my sister, like sometimes she's actually said this to me before, and I kind of agree with her. Like if somebody just put us side by side to each other, looked at our lives, looked at what we do, what we care about, what we even physically look like. She was like, I don't even understand how we're siblings. And all dead seriousness, because you would assume siblings have some similarities. Like we could not be more opposite. But you would think that like you kind of look like your brother, or you kind of look like your sister, or you kind of act a little. You have some
Ye-
mannerisms, you know.
Well, there is a
Kind of.
possibility, but it doesn't have to. That's my
Right.
point because it's you inherit a random set
It
of
is. Yeah.
genes from your parents. So the gene can combine to be one or the other, or could be completely different because it's more like expressions of your genes in multiple ways than just one way or the other way, right?
Yep.
Because you're talking about, color, for example. Like you have, hey, somebody who is redhead and versus blackhead, right? That means that somebody could be red and somebody could be black and somebody could be like a strawberry, auburn, or even blonde. You can go
Right.
and get blonde from a redhead and a blackhead person, right? So there are multitudes of variation that can come about. So you can't really expect that, hey, you should have black hair or red hair or whatever. So the genes, and this is one example of gene that we can see, but the gene that makes us who we are, there's 16 variations depending
Right.
on, and that's just one set of genes in your small segment of your DNA. But you
Yep.
have so many that makes you a wholly unique person. So the point I'm trying to make is you have to be who you gotta be. You can't try to be something else, and you can't take the conformity and the narrative that have been pushed by society to make you into something that you're not. If you don't know that the life you live is not your own, it will be miserable.
I would be bored out of my mind if I was Thor every single day. I'd be like, this sucks, man. Like you don't get to do shit like when like the whole world's falling
The
in.
thing is, I do not want to be Thor, right? Because the thing is, I like to solve my own problems, but I do
Right.
not like to solve anyone else's problem. For whatever reason, that's the way I feel, and it's always like give me this like yucky feeling when people say, "Hey, I have a problem. Can you help me?"
You're
I'm
like,
willing to help,
sigh. Yes.
but I don't want to take the responsibility. So the thing is, when you ask in that way, then I feel so bad. But if you ask me, hey, True, what did you do? I can tell you all day what I'm doing, and you can take that and use it and be inspired by it or whatever you want to
Right.
do.
Right.
But
Right.
for somebody to say, hey, I have this problem, you help
Problem.
me.
Like
Right now, to me, I can't do that. It's not a
I
good
agree.
feeling for me. I become stressed out
I
when
agree with
that
you.
happens. So I know exactly the way that the kind of trait I want to have, right? Or the other ones, like it could be a very, very minute change,
Yep.
and I don't like it.
This is really fascinating because I was writing about this, your Fred comment yesterday,
Uh-huh.
right? You know, the past couple of weeks when you've come up with your fake red threads or your Fred threads. And honestly, I was really impressed with the reflection that we were able to come out of this because I think I learned something that was a new insight that I was like, this is it's really kind of interesting. So when you and you know because we're not going to do this one until like 4:40 or whatever it is. What are we on? That doesn't matter. It's like 4:39 or something. Here's the thing that I found really interesting today, and this is I'm going to try to just work through this with you because I already kind of worked through it a little bit earlier today. But
Mhm.
chemically, biochemically speaking, when you do stuff that you know are supposed to do, you get chemicals get released in your brain, right? Like it's drugs, right? I mean, drugs get released in your brain to confirm to you that you are doing something that you like, right? You get addicted to it, right? And so put that aside. We all understand that. We know the dopamine, the serotonin, and oxytocin, and whatever, right? Like all these things, right? Now, here's the thing about a red thread that we need to that kind of thought about today is you have to work really hard to achieve that hit, I guess, if you will, the chemical reactions, right? It's not like you just get it for free. You have to do something in particular that it aligns, you know, to who you're beavering on purpose, I guess, if you will. And then you get that chemical reactions that all happen and you get that high. But you got to earn it, right? You know, and you have to earn it with the right stuff. You got to open the right doors, unlock the right keys, whatever it may be, right? But now you flip it on the other side, and this is what I was thinking about. This Blitz book made me think about is drugs are a red thread, or also known as a Fred in your regard, because it does unlock those same chemical reactions in your brain, and it does make you have that addicted feeling to the experience you're getting, and it makes you go, well, if I can do this without doing the hard work or whatever, then I'll just do that. But this is exactly what you talk about with Freds. Like when you go down the wrong road, even if you narcotically enhance that road, like eventually it still all unravels because you didn't, for whatever reason, the universe set it up this way. You have to do the work up front in order for this to be sustainable long term. And I think it's because the whole free lunch concept about like when a beaver does what a beaver's supposed to do, then a wolf can do what a wolf's supposed to do, and an elk can do what an elk's supposed to do, and a tree can do what a tree's supposed to do, and the ecosystem goes around it, right? And you get that chemical hit because you're doing what you're supposed to do, but at the same time, then it helps the whole ecosystem. For some reason, right, a lot of times it turns into a really bad thread and we spiral downhill and it all falls apart. This is kind of, in a weird way, what we're talking about in this regard as well. Like, if you're following a thread, of trying to be something that you're not, you're never going to get that hit. If the drug side is, we're just narcotically doing it, the other side of it is you're never getting it, right? And that just sucks. If you're never experiencing any of the chemical reactions, you're like, I liked what I did and it caused this. I mean,
So you want to discuss this now?
Let's do it.
I don't think the red thread is hard. The red thread is actually the easiest thing to do, because I asked you, Chris, I know you spend effort, but how hard it is for you to talk?
Not hard at all.
It can be hard to be a red thread. If I shut you up and tape you, that's harder. But because your red thread is this mischievous person, playful and all that, that is so easy for you. Okay?
Right.
To me, that's red thread. And red thread is not hard. It's easy, right? It's so easy. So the thing is, the problem I see is people don't know what a red thread is. They think something else. So to me, an image comes to mind. You know how people call like a stick and a carrot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you dangle a carrot over some rabbit or whatever, right? He keeps chasing that carrot forever, ever. He never gets it. That is a threat. So you imagine this: you are a rider, and your elephant is you, the subconscious. You basically put a picture of like a watering hole in front of him, right? You put the thing he wants. Like in the example of the elephant, whatever the elephant wants, he wants to go to watering hole, whatever. You put a picture of the watering hole in front of him, and you tell him, "Hey, this is red," and so he thinks that is the red. He follows and follows and follows. He never gets there. That to me is a threat, because we as the rider think we're so smart that we can trick ourselves.
Say what's important.
We manipulated the elephant.
Right. Yep.
Right. So you and I know we can manipulate ourselves by doing these mushrooms or the psychedelic or the drugs or the poker, whatever. But you never got there because that wasn't real in the first place. Somebody put a picture of a landscape of a water hole in front of you, like somebody put a carrot in front of you. You never got to the carrot, because the moment you step, the carrot move further out, right?
On either end of the spectrum, you just
have to see the truth, because a lot of times you're being covered by this veil, and this veil has been painted a picture of the things you want, but it's not real.
Well, so narcotics, we all know that when you're smoking weed or something like that, and you're seeing, having, it's a hallucinogen, right? I mean, you know that what's going on is not your normal state, right? But you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, I guess you go back and you do it again, right? Because you're like, well, that was an interesting state, but it's not sustainable.
Because you imagine you drink a bunch of alcohol, right?
Right.
And then you're so drunk, you see any girl, you say, "Hey, she's beautiful."
Called beer goggles. Yeah.
And you marry her, you go to Las Vegas, and you marry her, and in the morning you wake up and say, "Oh shit, who's the hell is this dude? Who's the hell is this dude?"
That's basically every night in college,
What I'm saying is the beer causes this.
It's called beer. True. This is a very well-known phenomenon for anybody that's.
Shallow how?
What's that?
Shallow how?
Oh, shallow. Yeah, exactly. We used to say this all the time. It's beer goggles, man. It's a metaphor for the effects of alcohol on a person's perceptions. It describes someone who finds people more attractive after drinking alcohol, especially if they wouldn't find them normally attractive when they're sober. I mean,
because you manipulate the elephant, you fool the elephant. You, as a rider, fool the elephant because you have that cognitive ability and you did that. So it's like the elephant thinks it's real, so it follows it. It follows to the water hole, or the rabbit, chasing that carrot. The carrot never came.
Right.
Water hole never came because he has been covered by the veil. So if you lift the veil, to me, this is the important part. It's very crucial for you to lift that veil. I mean, you have to understand who you gotta be and what aligns with you, because we have been given a veil since we were born. We were told to conform. You go to school, hey Chris, you can't do that. Oh Chris, this and that, and you can't
follow the rules, right? Yeah, right.
You have to sit there, 8 hours a day, right? You have to. You can't even go to the restroom.
Yeah,
you can't even talk. Can't go to the restroom. You can't even chew gum. You can't do this. So people have put this veil on over you since you were born. So that is the important part. That is very crucial. You have to unveil yourself for you to see what is there. And once you do that, the red thread is actually easy. It is actually what you want, and it's actually easy to do because, like I
Yeah,
asked you,
you're
for
just
you
observing. Like,
to go talk to people, right? How hard it is. It's not hard
right.
work. It was
Well,
for you to play tennis, right? Is it hard? No, it's not hard work. Yes, you do exert a lot of energy, but
right.
you want to. So
But
from
here's the thing with a red thread versus a red thread though is when you're done doing a red thread activity, you get energy to sustain you, propel you forward. Like that is the most important thing of either one of these. When you do the carrot, like the illusionary thing you're talking about, you don't get any energy. You actually get negative energy,
you
right?
lose
Like, and
energy.
you
You
lose
got to put in
energy,
energy to
right?
get there, right?
Right. So both activities take energy to produce, but for some weird reason, the red thread actually leaves you with more energy than when you started the activity. So when I talk to you at night or something like that, I usually get, as long as it's something I want to talk about, like if I don't want to talk about something, then it's a Fred for me. If I'm in a conversation about,
But you and I
well,
don't want to talk about things we
yeah,
don't want to talk about. and
right,
that and
right, like
that's a
like,
crucial point.
yeah.
Is like, hey, like you and I get together and we talk about the what was it? What's it that Nico does on the 10 the
Oh, traction?
tractions,
Yeah,
whatever that is.
yeah, yeah.
That level
Oh, the
whatever
level 10 L10 meeting.
L10 meeting. Like
Yeah,
that to me, like you and I get together every night and do that L10 meeting. I
right, right.
promise you, I go
I
after
I,
I
I
would
would attend
crash
these.
my after the meeting. It's like, oh shit, that's too much.
That was it. Really was actually. I mean, it really was. I was like, can we just? It should just be free flowing. We'll just figure it out,
But
right? Like
Chris, you
I'm
have two
not.
minutes.
What? Yeah. Right, oh my God, that is impossible.
I can do 2 minutes, and then you do 4 minutes. Well, the other 2 minutes, it doesn't count because blah blah blah.
Everybody that knows me knows that, like, if I say long story short,
It's
it's
still
a
a long
long
story.
story.
Long
I
story
can't.
short, it's just like the
It's
long
just
story and the short is
yeah.
silence.
Right. I know that is not a skill of mine, but also I know that, like, that's probably one of the reasons why I talk so fast is because I'm trying to get what's in my head out of my head because I know that it's annoying to somebody else to sit there and go, oh, okay, when's it gonna be done? When's it gonna be done? So I'm just trying to speed through it to go like, okay, I got a lot to say to you. I'm gonna try to make this clear and concise, and we'll get through this, and we'll just talk right now, and I'll talk really fast, and we'll get it done, and then we'll be over with it.
Yeah.
Like it's I because that's how I have to. That's kind of a I don't even want to call, I don't know if I want to call it a defense mechanism, but I think it's me trying to still be me, but still accommodating and recognizing other
You
people.
try every single ways to do what you need to do. If
Right.
I ask you, hey, you are you gonna quit playing tennis since your arm hurt? You say, hell, I never even think about it. I say, I'm gonna find other
I,
ways to do
I
it.
didn't.
So
Yeah.
you, as a person, it is your red thread. You will find every possible way to have you do that particular activity,
Yeah.
whether it's to speed up your speech or to make excuses for it or do whatever.
Right.
You would do it.
I'll do it.
It
Yeah.
matter,
Because you're an addict.
but that what it means when it's a red thread. Is every time you do it, it is actually energized for you and it actually propels you forward and give you more and more and more. You had it in the beginning, but after a while, the athlete keep going, okay, I'm going and I'm going and I'm going. It was great at first, but now it's like I don't feel like it's
Right.
getting anywhere
Yeah. This
because
cocaine was amazing. The first year that I did it, and now 10 years later, and I'm still doing cocaine. This is not. I don't want this in my life. I don't want it anymore. Like I don't. This is not helping me to be the person I want. Now is sucking the energy out of my life and making me a person that I don't want to be. Like that is what a Fred is. Whether it's artificially, synthetically enhanced, or whether it's societally enhanced through illusions and perceptions of who you think you're supposed to be, and you're trying really hard to do all that. But both of those, either way, they both just deplete all of your energy eventually. You may get a little boost here and there, like the whole carrot and stick thing, like you said. You may get a performance enhancing boost. That was the other thing that I was thinking about with the whole Nazis and the Blitzed book, right? Like, hey, the PEDs worked. Like, hey, Barry Bonds, the PEDs worked. You hit 73 home runs that one year or whatever, and you're the all-time home run leader. But at the same time, it didn't work because you're not in the Hall of Fame. Everybody knows you're, cheated. You're a fucking cheater. Number two or number three, God only knows what damage you did to your body. Like shooting all that shit into your body for years and years and years and years and years. I mean, like, there's got to be negative consequences to taking a fuck ton of anabolic steroids all the time, right? Like, I mean, right? I mean, there's got to be a swing back on that, right? Am I wrong?
Everything has a swing back. I mean,
Right.
For every action, there's a equal and opposite reaction. That's Newton's third law. Right. So that's physics that have been applied. It hasn't been, disproved.
Right. It's like the Nazis got what they wanted in the Blitzkrieg and popping methamphetamines all day long, to not ever have to sleep, and they can get a competitive advantage on whatever. Well, in year 3 and 4 and 5, when almost all of your soldiers were addicted to meth,
the PED that the Germans took is a reason why they won in the first place. The PED is also the reason why they lost.
Right, exactly. PEDs is why Barry Bonds won, like everybody,
It's also the reason why he lost.
It's also the reason why he lost, right? I think that nature is really smart, and the universe is really, really smart, and evolution is really, really smart. We were designed to figure out what things that we do and unlock that key to give us energy, right? When we do those things, the outcomes that we produce out of that, the byproduct of that stuff, somehow naturally helps a lot of other people in this world. And that's everything in this world.
There's only a certain set of things that create a cycle. There are more millions of things that is not belong to a cycle. So whatever you do, as long as it's in a cycle, let's say you and me, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So the tree takes it. So that's a cycle. Okay. So in our own system, there's also a cycle. What we do feeds us. It's a cycle. If you feed the cycle, it continue go on and on and on. It's a cycle. Everything in life is a cycle. You look at the moon, you look at the star, you look at the cycle, right? So that means whatever steps that you do, as long as in that cycle that you have, as the patterns of genes you inherited, in that cycle, it will continue to go, or it continue to replenish itself. So it's self-sustaining. This is the beauty of
life. It's a free lunch,
right? It is always a free lunch, as long as you see the truth, and it's so easy. It's so I mean, to put it like simply, life is easy to navigate only when you have the right map.
Yeah.
Right? Because imagine you go to Spain and they give you a map of Texas. Right? You go to Spain and they give you a map of India. So how many maps can I give you that is wrong? And how many maps can I give you that's right?
Well, if you're
as one map is right, there are millions of maps that's wrong.
Right. But if you're an explorer and you like to go figure out the problem solve, maybe you having the wrong map and you're like,
but the thing is,
it's wrong map.
That's a caveat though. Right. You have to realize you're an explorer and you don't trust the map. Right?
Yes,
for you to even but how do people know they have the wrong map?
They don't, but I was
my point is they don't. They say, hey, you gotta be Thor, you gotta be leader, you gotta be princess, you gotta be prince, you gotta be blah blah blah, right? So people go through life held on to the notion that they have the right map. That's the assumption. And that is what you gotta question: is my map right? If you don't never question that assumption, you will never become explorer, because say, well, I go here, what does it matter? My map must be wrong. You never distrust the map.
Unless you could be a cartographer. That could be your red thread, just to be fair.
But my point is, you're in the. I mean, you're talking out of context, this Chris, because in life,
somebody's got to make the map.
But there's no map in life. That's what people understand, and this happens all the time. And one, like I told you before, like I'm more of a remedial kind of software developer, right? I go in there and remediate some of the project. The reason why I can fix a problem in a day or in 3 days is because I go in there and whatever they put in there, I question it. I say, hey, this library, this object, this control that you bought from someone else, right? This is from Apple itself, right? I don't know if it does what it's supposed to do. It does what it told you, right? Because it's from Apple, it should do exactly what they say it should do. You trust it without question. That's where none of the people is able to figure out the problem, because they think it's something else. I go in there and say, well, why did they never question this particular object, this particular control. This particular library that the creators of the SDK tells you, hey, this function does this, but that's what they told you it does. You never test it.
You're a hole poker. That's what you like to do. I mean, like you've done this to.
But that's the thing is,
you know.
people don't. My point is, all the people have gone through. It doesn't matter who you are. You could be like, from PhD levels to like masters and like
Right.
years of experience. You follow the same. You fall to the same trap. Is you never questions the map you were given. No one does, because let's say I'm using a function from Apple itself, and it happens before where this guy have this function, he used it, and it's a function of Apple to develop some kind of a render control. That control has a bug, and it doesn't work. But he never questioned that control, so he never fixed it. Couldn't fix it.
It had a bug from Apple.
From Apple itself, right?
Oh wow!
But that's the point. Is you can't fix it because you never questions the authority of or the functionality of the you never questions the thing that you trust. The thing that you trust is what? What do you trust? You've been given a picture in front of you, and you say, well, that you put a carrot in front of you, right? A carrot, so make it easy to explain. Somebody put a carrot in front of you. You never question whether the carrot's real or not, or whether it's not possible for you to get. People don't question it. That's like a rabbit, for example. Yeah. How does a rabbit know? Say, that looks suspicious, right? Has a rabbit ever stopped and think, hey, I'm not chasing it anymore because it looks suspicious? Human being has their own carrots.
That's a great analogy. I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you. It's a societal illusion, really, is what you're kind of referring to. It's what other people have said is important, and you're looking at that as your barometer. So, well, if everybody says
you use that as a compass,
it's the most important thing to be right. Yeah, I mean, if everybody tells you,
if everybody say the sun is right,
go to college and go to this.
Yeah, the sun, it rises from the east and sets in the west, right? That's what you know. You never tested it, right?
Yeah, this happens all the time, like all the time. There's so many things that we all take for granted as to, like every Bill Bryson book, basically, where you're like, where does Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer come from? Is this from, like, where does Santa Claus come from? Where does all this shit come from, And you're like, I don't know. I mean, we just say it, and this is what we do, and like, this is how it's always been. It is. This is the way, right? All right. We got to put a pin on this. I mean, I should have gone down this road, in 925 when I started to go down that road.
Well, I want to talk about it.
Of course, I want to talk about it, but that was my fault. I should have known. I should have known.
That's my point. We can't know. That's all fallacy.
Fair. All right. Well, let's wrap with this though for everybody in a fun discussion about spirit animals. What is your spirit animal? Just something to think about, and don't think that it's a spirit animal that you were given. It's what are you, what
the spirit animal do you want to be?
Think you want to be. Yeah.
It's what you do, right?
Yes.
Look back at yourself. Say, what did you do? And then what animal does what you did, not but what you want to be, right?
Exactly.
That's not who you are. I can want to be an eagle.
I want to be Michael Jordan. I can't.
Michael Jordan. I can't. I'm sorry.
I can barely dribble a basketball. I don't care how long I spent. I would barely get a little bit better at it. Trust me, I played basketball many times in my life. I'm not good, and it doesn't matter how much time I would have dedicated to it. I'm still not going to be very good. I don't find joy. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. That was fun. We are officially 3 away. We will see you all on Monday.
Sounds good.